Hey guys, and welcome back to Legend Speaks. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've put a lot of time and effort into, I've done a lot of research on, and it's taken quite a lot of time to articulate my thoughts just the right way. Today I will be talking about the Eminence mechanic. Now, if you don't play Magic the Gathering or you don't play Commander, this video is not going to be of a whole lot of interest to you. However, I implore you to stick around because it's really helpful to take a look at this from an aspectal point of view. It can really affect card games or games in general overall. Mechanics like this, of course. This specific mechanic wouldn't affect anything else because it doesn't work anywhere else, but mechanics like this can be a problem or a blessing depending on how you look at it. So, what is Eminence? That's the first question I had to ask myself, and it was pretty simple to answer. But at the end of the day, it means a lot more than it really should. So, Eminence is the mechanic in which a commander's ability can be activated or is passively active from the command zone. Think Oloro, if you've ever played that deck or played against it. It doesn't have to be on the field, you don't even have to pay a mana cost, it just happens. Whether it be boosting your guys, making other guys, or just making your guys cheaper, just like your mom. Anyway, sorry about that. So, that's what Eminence is. But what is it really? Eminence is a mechanic Wizards introduced to try and spice up Commander. Over the past couple of years, they've introduced Commander core sets, basically, where they'll have 4 or 5 new decks come out with new cards, new commanders, and usually introduce something new. I think it was Commander 2014, we had the Planeswalker commanders. 5 new walkers, Planeswalkers that could be your commanders too. That's crazy. They were okay. They weren't great. They were fun though. The 2016, which was personally my favorite year, had the 4 color commanders. We never had legendary creatures with 4 colors before, and now we have 5 of them to choose from. And also, don't forget, we had the partner commanders, which were basically let you have 2 commanders at once. That's fucking bonkers, but now we have the Eminence, and this one had a lot of people scratching their head when it first was announced. You see, Wizards set first announced we were gonna have Tribal. Everyone was super excited. There was a small group of people bitching like, oh, that's not competitive, but pretty much everyone who enjoyed the game was like, that's gonna be awesome, Tribal, fuck yeah. So I myself was hyped. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some badass tribes. And we did. We had cats, lizards, dragons, and vampires. Pretty recognizable tribes from Magic's past. But then they introduced the big new kick that they were doing. They didn't just stop with tribal commanders. No. Eminence. Now this set a lot of people off. Half the people, myself included, were excited. Like, this sounds really cool. The other half, however, were mad. Pretty much mad. They saw this as an exploit, as an easy way for people to be cheap, and as just promoting unhealthy game mechanic. But at the end of the day, before we go on, we have to understand why Wizards did this. It was simply a way to try and spice up a game that has been around for over 7 years now. A format, at least. Commander has been a format for over 7 years. At least officially and recognized by Wizards for that long. So we have to understand that when they do stuff like this, they're trying to reinvigorate the format, even though it's the most popular format that they have, so they really don't have to do that. Now, the next question I set out to answer was, what was its function? Now, with this, I analyzed each Eminence commander pretty thoroughly, including Oloro, because I count him as Eminence, even though he doesn't say Eminence on his card text. So let's go over them in brief summary. First off, Oloro. Oloro simply says, at the beginning of your upkeep, gain 2 life. Not that big of a deal. Not great. I mean, it's good. Gaining life is always good. Not great, though. Now, it's his second ability that I want to draw your attention to because it will come up later when I make my point. His second ability says, when he's on the battlefield, if you would gain life, you can pay a colorless mana and draw a card, and also burn each of your opponents for 1 life. Pay attention to that, because that will come up later. The next one we have is a Robo, Roar of the World. Simply says, during combat, you can pick a cat and give him 3/3. Make your cats big. Drink your crow milk. I don't think anyone's gonna get that reference. But, that's pretty cool. Combat tricks are always fun, especially in white and green. Too bad he's not red too. That would be fucking awesome. A Naya cat that gave his cats big... Oh well. But still, really cool. And his Eminence ability is... I don't have the cards directly in front of me, but I believe it's green, white, X, and then target cat gets X plus 0 and trample until end of turn. So, you could boost it with the Eminence, and then this, and give it trample. It's a very good combat ability, far better than just the Eminence ability itself. So, okay. Another one where the ability on the battlefield is far superior to the Eminence ability. Let's move on. Ulala. Alia. Whatever. This wizard bitch. Wizard bitch says, whenever her Eminence is, whenever a wizard comes into play on your side of the battlefield, or you cast one, I'm not quite sure the wording, I'm pretty sure it says whenever you cast a wizard, you can create a token that's an exact copy of that wizard and exile it at the end of the turn. This would be busted. And I say would be if there were more exploitable wizards in the game. However, wizards as a tribe are kind of underrepresented and don't have a whole lot of powerful cards, especially powerful enter the battlefield abilities. So she's, I don't want to say the weakest, because she's very combo heavy. You can combo with her, but she's one of the most railroaded commanders thus far. She has a specific thing she does, and there's very little variance. You're going to have 2 or 3 cards that can really take advantage of this. So she's limited in her application. And to be honest with you guys, I don't even know what her bottom text says. It's on screen right now. You can read it, and it's definitely better than just her Eminence ability. Next up, we have the Dragon. Now, this guy is fucking awesome. He's a big dragon boy. You know, King is the best big dragon. He just costs a fuck ton of mana to play, but whatever. His Eminence ability is super underwhelming, though. Just all dragons you cast besides him cost 1 generic mana less. Dragons usually have a pretty high casting cost with a lot of different colors in them, so this isn't super helpful. I mean, it does make dragons on the whole cheaper, but there are much better ways to do that. But look at his battlefield ability. Probably the most powerful out of all the commanders. Eminence commanders, at least. It's whenever he's on the battlefield, and dragons attack, you enter your combat, for each dragon you swing with, you get to draw a card, and then play a permanent from your hand without paying its mana cost. This is probably the most powerful out of all the Eminence commanders on the battlefield ability. However, he has possibly the weakest Eminence ability. So I'm starting to see a stark contrast with these cards. Moving on to the Rule Breaker Edgar Markov. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, up until this point, I thought I had it figured out. The Eminence ability was good, but weak compared to their on-battlefield ability. However, Edgar kind of fucking breaks that for me, and it's annoying, because he kind of goes against all the connotations I built up to this point. You see, while Edgar's in your command zone, anytime you would cast a vampire, you create a 1/1 vampire token. This doesn't sound powerful until you realize vampires have a lot of low-cost spammy creatures that they can just throw out, and you could swarm your board very quickly with this guy. Now, his on-the-battlefield ability is, I'm not going to say better, it's just as good. Whenever Edgar swings or attacks, all other vampires, including himself, get a 1/1 counter. So, with Eminence, while he's in the command zone, he's constantly spamming out tokens, and then when he hits the battlefield, he has haste, so whenever he attacks, he's instantly boosting everything he just did. Edgar's kind of the one that breaks the format of the Eminence / on battlefield abilities. He's very powerful. Actually, I don't know if the wizard has an on the battlefield ability. Thinking about it now, she may not. I don't know. That's the least familiar one. Either way, Edgar definitely breaks this rule. His ability in the command zone / Eminence and on the battlefield are both equally as good. But for all the other ones, I can safely say that their on the battlefield ability is better than their Eminence ability. And even Edgar's is good. His on the battlefield ability is just as desirable as his Eminence ability. So there, we've taken a look at what the functionality of the Eminence ability is. Now our next question we have to answer, and the big one is this a fair mechanic? Short answer, no. Long answer, yeah. Okay, I hate to say this, and I really do, because from the outset, I really liked Eminence, but as more and more people told me their opinions, and I kind of had a more worldly view of it, I saw it as being kind of cheap. Now, the main complaint, and the main thing you're going to hear anytime you bring Eminence up, is it promotes unhealthy gameplay. In doing research for this, I went to my LGS, I went online, I went to the Amino app, and I asked several people, dozens of people, what they thought of Eminence. And the first question I start off with, is it fair? A large majority said it promoted unhealthy play. Not degenerative play, they're not comboing off on turn 2, but unhealthy. They're getting this free advantage for doing nothing besides using that commander, and they're not really playing commander. They're basically playing as if their deck had a pre-built-in upgrade, which, how is that fair? You're playing a commander, your other person's playing a commander that takes skill, that you can't use until it hits the battlefield, which makes them vulnerable, which, FYI, there are no cards currently that destroy or stop effects in the command zone. So, for another person to use their commander at all, they have to put them in danger, they have to put them on the field where they can be taken, where they can be put back to the command zone, where they can have their ability shut down, where they can be tapped down permanently. In order to get anything out of the commander, they have to put them in harm's way. Whereas with the Eminence ability, you just sit there. You're completely safe and away from the game, which a lot of people, again, kind of justly view as unfair and just unhealthy. However, counterpoint, I have two. The two counterpoints I see to this are A, the Eminence commanders are kind of weak. With the exception of Edgar Markov, they're not great. I mean, they're good, but compared to something like a Traxa or Brea, as if. These cards do not even compare to the bonkerness that are a Traxa, Brea, any top tier commander that you can think of, Rhea, anything like that. These commanders just don't match up. So let's take a look again, card by card. Aloro gains life. Cool. On the battlefield, you get to draw a card when you gain life if you have mana to pay it. Okay. But at the end of the day, he's a 4/4 6-drop that has no protection. Not the best card. The Ur-Dragon. Super big, beefy flyer. Can, that's crazy. He's a 9-drop with no protection from being targeted or anything like that. So if you don't have some boots on this bitch, you're pretty much setting yourself up to get blown the fuck back. Arobo. Awesome combat commander. Really cool abilities. But combat tricks aren't super effective, especially if you're playing a blue player. Those combat tricks aren't going to get you very far when you can't attack because all your creatures are tapped or you keep getting countered or bounced back to the hand. And again, there's no protection. Ulala, Wizard Bitch. Kind of the same boat. she's a small creature with a kinda high mana cost, and there's honestly really no reason to cast her, but yeah, you get to copy wizards and get their ETBs, I guess. Again, Edgar's really the only one that breaks this, because the dude's a good card. He's a 4/4 haste first striker for 6 in Mardu colors, which isn't that bad. Again, he doesn't have protection, but he boosts all of your creatures, so really the only way to put Edgar down is a board wipe, and if you can get a board wipe out of your opponent's hands, you're doing a good thing, and he goes back to the command zone just to be played again or get more tokens out there. So again, the exception to the rule, Edgar. All the other commanders are not great. And the second counter to the unhealthy play mentality is that these commanders specifically promote you playing them. Their on the battlefield abilities are almost always strictly better than their Eminence abilities. The Ur Dragon is a perfect example. The Ur Dragon's on battlefield ability is ridiculous. Yes, he doesn't have haste, and yes, he's probably going to get Doombladed or any other removal spell. But if you get to swing with him, or even if you get to swing your dragons while he's on the field, that's awesome. You know, he's a 10/10 flyer with a really cool ability. Why wouldn't you want to play him if you have the mana? He's terrifying. He actively makes players play differently when he hits the field. That's good. Orobo, his on-battlefield ability is better. It's just better. It's basically a better version than his Eminence ability. Edgar, yes, he's fine in the command zone, but if you get him on the field, not only is he making you tokens, he's also buffing all your vampires up. That's fucking awesome. Alala, Wizard Bitch. I don't know. I don't even know what she does, really. I don't even know if she has an on the battlefield ability. If she doesn't, she's an unhealthy commander, and she should be fucking banned and fucking ripped apart, and should have never been made. I don't care. I don't like her. I'm just playing. I just don't know what she does. Aloro. Drawing cards is great. Burning your opponents for one is okay. Not great. But drawing, hey, fuck yeah. I'll draw a card. So, while these cards, I guess I see where you're coming from, they also want you to play them. They want to be played. Their on the battlefield abilities are really good, especially compared to their Eminence abilities. So, that basically answers, is it fair? I'd like to go over some comments from people at my LGS though, because I found them pretty interesting. One in particular, that my friend and the person who really helped me learn how to play, he said they're unbalanced, and strictly, they're unbalanced in the sense that there aren't enough of them. There are so few Eminence commanders, and there are really 2 or 3 ones that are worth anything, that they strike a strong unbalance in the game. You have 2 or 3 good cards with this one particular ability that can't be countered, can't be touched from the command zone. It's just unbalanced, and it doesn't feel fair, which I have to agree with. It doesn't feel fair. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's logically unfair. So the final question, and probably the hardest one to answer so far, how can Wizards fix this? If it even needs to be fixed. And in my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily say it needs to be fixed, but something needs to be done to make sure this doesn't break Commander. Now the first point I'd like to bring up is be careful, Wizards. Be careful with what you print, because now that you've opened up the floodgates, you have to backtrack. You can't print a wizard with a stupid broken ETB so Wizard Bitch can take fucking advantage of it. You can't, I know vampires are in Ixalan, but you can't fucking print a bunch of one-drop vampires, that way Edgar can be even more busted. You know, you have to be careful with what you print. Also, be careful with what you print from now on, because if Eminence is going to be a staple in Commander products, please do not break it. As of right now, I don't think Eminence is broken. I think it's coming close with Edgar, but I don't think Edgar is broken. I don't think the Eminence mechanic is busted. I don't think it's breaking the game. However, I do see a precedent for you to do that. If you're not careful with what you print, you will break the game. Eminence is a very powerful mechanic. That being said, I do think more cards should have it. I feel like since it's a mechanic now, and you've given it a keyword, and you've made it a thing, leaving it to only 4, technically 5, cards would be kind of unfair. You're giving these 5 cards an elevated value over the others, and it's not really a fair thing to do. Like, why is it fair that these 5 cards can gain advantage for doing nothing while everyone else has to use their commander and put them in harm's way? So please, I implore Wizards to print more of these, but do be mindful of power levels. And finally, we get to probably the most controversial fix I am going to mention: cards that target the command zone. Now, this has been kind of a thing since people have talked about Oloro. However, it came up quite often when talking about Eminence, and I've made up a couple of cards here that might be rough drafts to cards that I'm imagining will come out in future commander sets. The first card we have is Command Hetzwall. It's a 3-drop enchantment that says cards in your opponent's command zone have their abilities negated. Now, it's important to make sure this is colorless so any deck can run it, and it's important to make sure that it says it negates any abilities in their command zone. That's the thing. Because I don't want to... I had some people telling me that they think you should be able to permanently exile a commander, and that's ridiculous. That takes away from playing commander. Like, at that point, you're not playing commander. Everyone will run that card. So, I felt it was important to let the other person still play their commander. However, it stopped them from gaining that free advantage from using Eminence. Now, this wouldn't only stop Eminence commanders, it would also stop Planeswalker emblems, which is a reason why it wouldn't just go into anti-Eminence decks. It would go into anti-Super Friends decks, anything that's using the command zone for emblems or Eminence commander. And surprisingly, a lot of people didn't really have a problem with this one. It's the next one that a lot of people weren't so sure about. The next one's called Commander's Lotus, and this definitely needs to be worked on. The wording needs to be reworded, because it's not worded properly, and the mana cost may be a bit crazy high. So, it's a 5-drop artifact, colorless, which is important, and it says pay 6 and tap it. Choose an ability of a creature in your command zone. This turn until the end of the turn, treat this ability as if it was an Eminence ability. Commander's Lotus doesn't untap during your next untap step. So, there are a couple of things about this card that I made that I kind of think should be different. A, perhaps it should be like the typical Lotus cards, to where when you tap it, you sacrifice it. And the ability that you choose will have Eminence until your commander leaves the command zone next time. And also, if we are to keep it like this, I feel like maybe the cost is too high. I feel like paying 5 and then paying 6 to tap it is definitely too high, but in my mind, I thought, well, it will give your opponents a chance to react, because the chances of you having 11 open mana when you play this are pretty small, and if you did, your commander would probably be on the field. So, I feel like it would give your opponents a chance to react, but I don't know, maybe it's too weak, maybe it's too powerful. I've heard both sides. But these are my 2 ways to fix this. Now, are they perfect? No. They have obvious flaws. Specifically, Commander's Lotus could be attached to a broken-ass commander and break the game somehow. Again, I haven't playtested this with every possible commander, but I feel like this is a good start, and here's where I'm going to ask you guys for help. I would like to know what you think of Eminence. if you think it's fair, if you think it's unfair, if you think Wizards should make more cards with Eminence, or kind of post-ban the cards that came out. I don't know. Also, do you think Wizards should make cards that specifically target the command zone? And if so, give me a rough draft. Tell me in the comments what you think the card should do. Tell me in the comments. Hell, you could even write a rough draft of a card in the comments. I would love to see that. But really, this is where I open the floor to you guys. What do you think overall? Is it fair? Is it not? I'm really interested because while researching this video, I found so many different perspectives on this one mechanic about this game that it was really mind-opening to me. So, I feel like this is a great place to find even more perspectives. I'm on a public platform, why not ask you guys for help? Thanks for watching this video, guys. I know it was pretty different from what I usually do. I'm going to try and go back to my usual content, but if you like MTG stuff, let me know. I can definitely do more. I love the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.